Don't even think about skipping this video, because the man you're about to meet was no ordinary hero. His story begins in the dust and danger of the American frontier, and once you step into it, you won't leave the same. The year was 1865, just after the Civil War, while most men were returning home broken and tired. Daniel Kane rode west. He wasn't searching for gold or even land, he was searching for peace. But what he found was a land filled with bandits, hunger, and lawlessness. On his very first night in the Montana Territory, Daniel stumbled upon a village in flames. Families screamed, horses scattered, and masked riders torched homes as they laughed. Daniel could have turned away. He was a stranger after all. But something inside him refused to let injustice win. He gripped the revolver at his side one. He swore never to use again after the war, and walked straight into the firelight. A child's cry pierced the smoke. Daniel sprinted toward it, bullets whistling past him. He didn't care. He was no longer just a weary soldier, he was about to become something else. And that night, the legend of Daniel Kane, the Iron Will, was born. The flames painted Daniel's face in streaks of red and gold as he dashed through the chaos. He kicked open the door of a collapsing cabin and found the source of the cry, a young boy, no older than 8, cowering beneath a table. "Stay low," Daniel whispered, scooping the child into his arms. Outside, the masked riders noticed him. One of them pointed. "There, the soldier. Don't let him leave." Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the smoke, splintering wood all around. Daniel ducked behind a broken wagon, holding the boy close. His war instincts came rushing back, the same instincts he had sworn never to use again. He placed the child safely behind the wagon, then drew his revolver. His hand trembled for only a moment before it steadied, like steel returning to the forge. With precise shots, Daniel struck 2 of the bandits off their horses. The others hesitated, unprepared for a man who fought like he had nothing to lose. But Daniel knew this was just the beginning. As the bandits retreated into the night, he realized that the village wasn't just under attack, it was under siege. And if he stayed, the fight would be his to lead. That night, a weary soldier became the protector of a people who had no one else. Morning light crept over the smoking ruins of the village. Daniel stood among the survivors, ash on his coat, determination in his eyes. The people stared at him, not just as a stranger, but as the man who had stood against death when no one else could. An elder stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Who are you, sir? Why would you risk your life for us?" Daniel hesitated. The war had left him with no name he cared to claim, no place to belong. Finally, he answered with a quiet resolve. "My name is Daniel Kane, and I won't stand by while innocents suffer." But before relief could settle, a scout came running. "They'll be back? Twice as many this time. The bandits want the land, and they won't stop until we're gone." The villagers' faces drained of hope. Farmers, widows, children, none of them fighters? Daniel clenched his jaw. He had seen enough towns burned, enough lives destroyed. This time, he wouldn't let it happen. He looked at the frightened crowd and spoke firmly. "Then we fight. We turn this village into a fortress. You may not be soldiers, but with me you will stand a chance." For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stirring in his chest. Not just duty, but purpose. The Iron Will had been tested once. Now it was preparing for war. All day, Daniel worked alongside the villagers. His voice carried the weight of command, yet his hands labored just as theirs did. Together they raised barricades from fallen logs, filled barrels with water, and sharpened every tool that could be turned into a weapon. Children gathered stones for slingshots. Women reinforced doors with iron nails. Old men, who had long ago given up on fighting, now stood with pitchforks in their trembling hands. But as the sun dipped low, doubts began to spread. "We're farmers," one man said bitterly. "We can't fight trained killers." Daniel stepped forward, his presence silencing the murmurs. His coat was torn, his face lined with exhaustion, yet his eyes burned like embers refusing to die. "I've seen war," he said. "I've seen men stronger than me fall because they had no reason to fight. But he pointed to the villagers, you have a reason. Your homes, your families, your children's future. That makes you stronger than any outlaw who rides in here. The crowd grew still. Hope, fragile but real, sparked in their eyes. That night, as the village braced for the storm, Daniel stood watch beneath the stars, his revolver at his side. The wind carried the faint sound of hoofbeats in the distance. The bandits were coming back, and this time the village was ready. The night was unnaturally still. Every villager stood at their post, clutching whatever weapon they hammer. A pitchfork, even sharpened sticks. Mothers held their children close in the shadows. Daniel walked among them, steady and calm, though inside he felt the familiar ache of war. He placed a hand on the shoulder of the young boy he had saved. Stay hidden, no matter what happens. Then the silence shattered. The thunder of hooves shook the ground as the bandits rode in dozens of them, their torches blazing like fiery eyes. Their leader, a scar-faced man with a cruel grin, raised his pistol high. Burn it all. Leave nothing standing. The villagers trembled. For a heartbeat, fear nearly swallowed them whole. But Daniel's voice rang out above the chaos. Hold your ground. They think we're weak, show them we are not. The first wave of outlaws crashed against the barricades. Gunfire split the night, arrows and stones flew, and the village erupted into a storm of fire and steel. Daniel fought at the front, his revolver flashing, his fists striking, his will unyielding. Every villager who saw him drew courage from his defiance. But the outlaws were many. Too many. And as the barricades cracked, Daniel realized that this battle would demand everything he had left. The night shook with thunder and flame. The outlaws swept into the village like a dark tide, torches raised, guns blazing. Families huddled in doorways, hearts pounding. Yet at the front stood Daniel Kane, scarred by war, but unbroken in spirit. Every shot he fired, every command he gave, turned fear into courage. The villagers fought beside him, their farm tools transformed into weapons of survival. Children hurled stones, women doused flames. Old men stood shoulder to shoulder with the young. But the scar-faced leader rode forward, cutting through the smoke. His voice roared above the chaos. Kill Kane and the rest will fall. The two men clashed in the heart of the burning street. Daniel's revolver, emptied metal, clicked hollow. The outlaw grinned, raising his knife. But Daniel dropped the gun and met him with raw strength, his fists striking like hammers. They fought in the firelight, every blow echoing with the weight of all Daniel had endured. At last, with a final surge, Daniel disarmed the bandit and hurled him to the ground. The outlaw fell, defeated, and the remaining raiders scattered into the night. Silence returned, broken only by the crackle of flames. The village still stood, bruised, bloodied, but alive. Daniel looked around at the faces glowing in the firelight. The boy he had saved clung to his mother, whispering, "He did it, he saved us." The elder stepped forward, his voice thick with gratitude. "You are no stranger anymore, Daniel Kane. You are the protector of this village." Our hero. Daniel's eyes softened. For the first time in years, he felt it belonging, purpose, hope. And as dawn broke over the Montana hills, the villagers knew one truth. Their survival had been forged not just by weapons, but by the iron will of a man who refused to surrender. And now, dear viewer, if Daniel Kane's journey moved you, don't let this story end here. Hit subscribe to join us for more unforgettable tales. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. What would you have done in that village? And don't forget to like this video, so more people can discover stories of courage and hope, because every hero's story deserves to be remembered.